let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Can you guys see it? Okay, good. Okay, so welcome to Design Thinkers of RTP. We are in Instagram at Design Thinkers RTP, and we recently also have a Facebook page. So for the ones that don't know who we are, we created this group to inspire and empower people in the triangle to think different with a more human-centered based mentality. And we wanted to create like an inspiration for how we can work differently and collaborate together in a more engaging way, and change the way we are like doing things and designing. So we founded this group because we wanted specifically to create a space to practice like design thinking, and like people that have taken trainings or facilitation trainings or just like introduction for design thinking, and they don't know where to go or like what to do to start practicing these methodologies on their workplace, to come to our group and be able to practice these methodologies, learn more, practice facilitation, which is very important to implement these methods, and be able to take all these to their workforce and apply it on their teams. So I'm Sarah Sosnowski, and I'm gonna let Brad introduce himself. We cannot hear you. I don't know if you can.
There we go. My name's Brad Sosnowski. I go by Bradley or Brad, it doesn't matter. I am strong into creating processes, and I think I love design thinking for that specific thing. Taking things from a new angle, kind of stepping back and really applying real thought and digesting issues or whatever it may be, information, and like coming out with the best process. I think something that's scalable. So I'm into scalability. I garden, and I like planting things and learning from the environment as well. And there's a lot of design thinking going on there. So yeah, that's me. It was probably too long.
And Caroline.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Caroline. I work at WebEx, which is actually where I met Sarah, who was a design thinking facilitator in one of the trainings that I took there. So ever since I took that training, I've been a hardcore design thinking fanatic, and I use design thinking on a daily basis in my role. And one of the biggest challenges or opportunities I have in my role is driving change and using design thinking as a way to drive that change. So I'm excited to be here to learn from Eugene, and see how we can apply design thinking to game prototype design.
All right. So we have some announcements. Caroline, if you want to go and do those.
Sure thing. So as always, we do have a regular chat among the group, and we can share that link with everyone in the Zoom chat space, so you can join our chat channel on WebEx Teams. Shameless plug here since I work for WebEx. So again, this is a way that we can stay in touch outside of the Meetup threads. You'll just need to download the app and connect to the space where we can continue that conversation. Also want to plug some of our upcoming sessions that are happening later this month. One in particular for service design, and then Brad, you'll have to keep me honest, I believe another design thinking challenge for social responsibility is coming up as well with a guest speaker. So we're excited for both of those. Make sure you're signed up via the Meetup page. And then for both of those groups, you'll also be getting an Eventbrite form you'll have to fill out in order to get the WebEx meeting details or the Zoom details for those calls. So we're excited to see you at those virtual events.
Brad, do you have any updates or announcements?
Not really. I think you had a forum. You had me pointing to future.designthinkersrtp.com. There's a forum there. We're looking for ideas. on where the future of this is going online and in other ways. Sarah put that form together. So you can go to future.designthinkersrtp.com to see that and fill out that form. That'd be really helpful for all of us. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna send out the link for everyone to see it. We want to hear from everyone. And so today we have Eugene. We're really excited. We have a virtual UX and game design prototyping session. I'm excited to do this virtually because I've never done it. So this is going to be a great new way to learn how we can implement game design into the virtual world. Okay, so here you go, Eugene. Oh, sorry, I'm going to give you the...
Oh, great. Yes, thank you, Sarah. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Now, game design and UX share a lot in common when it comes to how we look at users. We are both, we need to have empathy for the people that we're designing for. And we need to have a good understanding of what they need to actually succeed in what they're trying to do. In a game, there is an objective, there is an understanding of who you are, and there is an understanding of what do you do and how do you win. Now, to start with, I wanted to do an exercise with everyone. Now, I will start introducing myself. And I am Eugene Shenderov. What I do is a combination of game design and UX. I started a tabletop game company. I have a master's in educational innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship. I recently completed a tech degree course, and I run a few sessions of Dungeons and Dragons, which is a great way to practice storytelling and conflict resolution and a lot of skills that are useful for both a game designer and a UX designer. Now, how do I win this session? I will win this session if the participants are able to develop a prototype for an educational game that they can then test with whoever, with the target audience, which is middle schoolers who are learning math. Now, I wanted to go around to the rest of the group and ask all of you, who are you? What do you do? What's specifically here in a general sense, and how do you win for this session?
So do we go around and do this like
Yes.
randomly? Okay, I can start. So I think I already introduced myself. I'm Sarah. I'm a UI UX designer and a design thinker. And how do I win this session is probably by participating and collaborating with others.
Thank you, Sarah.
I can go next. Can you guys hear me?
My name's Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So my name is Hamida. I am actually an artist and an animator. I recently started pursuing my Master's of Science in Information Systems Engineering and Management, I have an inclination towards UX, UI, and animation, how game development can help, the community in some way. So when I learned about this workshop, I was really interested, to be part of it. But unfortunately, my classes are starting as of today. So I just have 5 more minutes to be part of this workshop. I won't be able to participate, but I'm really looking forward to, going back and seeing the recording and what I could be able to do by, just learning as to what everybody else did. And I look forward to the other workshops which are happening. I think that those I will be able to attend.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so sorry I can't be there. I'm like, when it said game development, I was like, this is it, but I can't stay. I mean, I can be online and be, but it's just that my attention wouldn't be there 100%. But thank you for doing this, really.
Of course, and if it helps, you could also mute yourself and watch the session if that would be useful for you. But I will be recording. I am recording it.
Sure. Yeah. I think if it's going to be possible for me, I'll do that. Thank you so much again.
Of course.
I guess I can go next. So my name's Angelica. What I do is experience design and creative technology. So it's a blend of creating experiences, whether it's digital or in the physical space with experiential, and then also being there to actually prototype it and figure out how do we actually make it real. How do I win this session is really just learning about game design. It's something that affects creative technologists and experience designers like inherently. It's a part of the job per se to make experiences fun and engaging, and game design is one way of doing that. So just how I win is just learning about things.
I can go next. So my name is Leroy. Hi, everybody. And I am, hello, I'm Leroy. And what I do, I'm a UX design student, and I'm also changing careers. I used to do insurance, and I'm trying to get into the field of UX. And how do I win? I think I actually have won by just being here and just trying to broaden my perspective and practice skills.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Krishna. I'd like to go next. So I am a business analyst. I work with an insurance company where I'm working as a product lead for their UX, UI experience as far as group customers, group benefits, any any policies and products that we're trying to launch and then put it on the UX. So I'm kind of interested in understanding some of the concepts of UX in general, and I was I kind of stayed on because after I heard the um, game designers speak about empathy and understanding the needs and objectives, so which kind of correlates to to the industry that I'm in, and like to kind of listen in and then understand what it is and see what the opportunities are that I could actually explore in my area as well. Yeah, that's about me.
Thank you.
Hi, I can go next. This is Allie. I am a UX designer. I've been an UX designer for 8 years in mostly enterprise level. So designing softwares and applications for people to work with. So they use the application at work. And so game design for me is completely a new territory. Even though I'm a UX designer, I feel like it's something I haven't explored before. So that's why I'm here. I usually win things by thinking of, I can check things off the list. So if today we have some tasks and things that for me to complete, and that will be something I would consider a win for me. Yeah, that's it.
Great. And have I got a task for you today, Ali? We're going to be working on a game prototype, so there will definitely be a task to complete by the end.
Cool, awesome.
So great, thank you. That is everyone so far. I think we're going to be having people coming in over time. But kind of to just go over the plan for the day, we are going to go over the basics of the target user and the sort of theory behind today's session, which is that we are making an educational game prototype today for a middle schooler who is struggling in math. And the goal of the game is to engage them with the subject matter. And this is something that's coming out of my background, my master's in educational technology. I actually created a tabletop game for middle school students to learn how to become more interested in math. So very much teaching what you know. And the user is this middle schooler. This is our persona, Rachel, who is very creatively minded. She does very well with English and creative subjects, but she is struggling with geometry. And we are trying to engage her more with the subject matter. And this is her mother, Emily, who in the language that we're using for this would be the buyer. She would be the person that would actually be investing either time in terms of having her daughter stay at an after-school program and then picking her up, or actually buying this physical game as a product and showing her daughter how to play it. So it's kind of a two-sided market, but the user is, of course, Rachel, because she's going to be playing the game. We actually made a prototype and we had some great feedback. And my main point with this is just to make sure that think about how it's going to be used either in the classroom or in an after-school program or at home. So consider not just how the game works, but also the context of where it's going to be played. That's important to think about when you're designing. For example, if it's something very complex, it's not going to be used in the classroom because no one has time for that. And again, just as an example, this is the game that we made. And the first segment of it that we had was this scenario of preparing your rocket for launch. You had a specific amount of space in your rocket, and you got cards which gave you different game pieces, which were either triangles or squares. And to make a specific type of resource, you needed to create a specific type of geometric figure. So food had to be a parallelogram, water had to be asymmetrical, fuel had to be a triangle, and power had to be a trapezoid. So you had to understand the differences between these geometric figures and know which one you were trying to make so that you would have a balance of different resources when your rocket took off. So that's an example of how you would teach certain geometric concepts to students, specifically what are the differences between different types of shapes and what are the rules that govern that. So as UX designers, we have to empathize with our users. This exercise presupposes that we have already spoken with parents and their sons and daughters, and we have realized that the difficulty that they're having is that she's falling behind in math, and we're trying to come up with a solution for this problem. Now, usually after that, we would define the issue, which is entertaining and hands-on experiences for STEM subjects. And from here, we would come up with different ways that we would engage with students. For this session, we have chosen a game, either digital or a digital representation of a board game, to interact with. And so now we are going on to the prototyping stage, which is the main portion of today's talk. The first thing that most people come up with is some sort of theme. So once we are in groups, we'll be discussing different themes that you can use for your game. Now, these are a few examples of different themes that are used for tabletop games. And this is a very incomplete list, but you can see what sorts of games there are that have very popular, that are popular thematically. There's a lot of adventure games. There's plenty of games using science fiction subjects, fantasy. But it is important when you're coming up with a theme to consider who your audience is and whether that theme is appropriate for that audience. And there are endless game mechanics as well. As a game designer, I can talk about these for hours, but we only have a limited amount of time, so we're going to be focusing on 7 game mechanics that you can kind of hang your hat on. And we're going to, I'm going to talk through each of these. And then once we separate out into groups, you can decide which ones you're interested in focusing on. Now, the first mechanic that we will talk about is called action programming. The way that this works is within the game, you have a limited set of actions, and you choose some number of them and put them down on the board. No one else knows what they are. And they're resolved one by one. So for example, Robo Rally, you choose 4 things that your robot can do. It can turn, it can move forward, or it can go backwards. And you have cards that represent these actions. So you tell your robot what to do for the next 5 turns, and all of your opponents do the same thing, and then it resolves. First, your robot turns left, then your opponent's robot goes forward, then another opponent's robot turns right, and then you move forward 3 spaces, then your opponent does something, and so it goes this way in a circle. This mechanism is very useful for teaching sequences of events. So if that is something that you're interested in, when we go into breakout sessions, that would be one to look at. And if you have questions at any time, please let me know. Deduction games, such as Clue. Most people are aware of Clue, but just to go over it, you use deductive reasoning and logic to learn which character was the killer. You put logical problems in front of players, which once they have all of the information, they should be able to come up with the correct solution. Games that train logical thinking are, of course, a good choice for a game that teaches the subject matter. Dexterity games such as Rhino Hero, you're physically moving pieces on the board, and Jenga is another good example of a game like this. Here, the mechanism of the game isn't educational in of itself, but one of the nice things as a designer is to think about how a system can be used with a theme to come up with something that no one else has done before. And I find dexterity games lend themselves to a lot of creativity. Working with shapes and thinking about how shapes fit together would be a good way to integrate this with geometry. Press your luck games, like Blackjack or this game, King of Tokyo, are ones where you're trying to get some sort of outcome, but every time you roll the dice, there's a chance that something bad's going to happen and you're not going to be able to continue. So this is a great way to teach probability and understanding when you should cut your losses and when you should continue on a current path. So a little bit more advanced mathematics, but this is also something that fits what we're trying to create here pretty well. Trading games are good for more of the social aspect if you want to teach students how to work together, perhaps not directly mathematics skills, but if you're trying to teach them how to work well in a group. Trading games are all about communication. Each player has different goals. Everyone's trying to win the game, but if you don't trade with other players, you're going to lose. So whoever is able to communicate with others to get what they're looking for is going to be able to do well. So less math-based, but this is these games teach important life skills. And the last mechanism is role-playing. This mechanism is very good for making people feel invested in what they're doing. If you have a certain role in a game, then you understand that piece of what you're trying to do. And from there, you think about how you would interact with other people. It's also a very social mechanism, of course. So not all of these mechanisms are directly applicable to mathematics, but these are all mechanisms that you can use to create a game to teach mathematics. Any game that you would make using one of these mechanics would be very different from any other one. So I hope that we will be able to think of creative solutions together here today. Oh, yes. So the last one, we have less people here today than expected, so we're probably not going to be able to go through all of these. So we'll see which mechanics people are interested in trying today to make a game around. But the last one is tile placement. Creating and analyzing patterns thinking multiple moves ahead, creating a system. These are all very important design choices that allow you to create a more sophisticated game, and also are very much related to the subject matter that we're going to be going over today. So now I'm going to start the breakout sessions. If it'll let me. There we go. My apologies. So while I figure out how to open up these breakout rooms, do you have any questions for me about the different mechanisms and how to create a game with them? I know we went over them fairly quickly.
Yeah, I
probably
would go ahead.
Oh, I would like to probably see the kind of like have a cheat sheet, like if we do breakout rooms, just so we
Yes.
know
So,
which options we have.
of course. So I just sent the link to a mural board where it has all 7 of the options available.
Okay, perfect.
So you can take a look at the mural board to see which mechanisms you would be interested in, and put your name beside the one that you would like to use. After that, we'll go over the different portions of the game design section of today's event.
So to clarify for the, what's it called? The action programming is pretty much the object of the game is that you're doing something that someone else doesn't know that you're doing. And so you win by doing that enough to the point that you win.
Well, the victory condition of each of an action programming game is usually trying not to lose. For example, in Robo Rally, the goal is to not get knocked off the board or to not lose all of your hit points before your opponents do. So the goal of action programming games is essentially to anticipate what the other players will do.
Got it. Cool.
And please let me know if you're having trouble finding the board as well.
So we are going to go through this first part of choosing game mechanism as a group together and then have a breakout.
Correct. Although for some reason it's not letting me open all the rooms for people to break out into.
How many rooms were you planning on breaking out?
Well, I made 7, 1 for each mechanism, but I don't know if they're visible anywhere. It says not started, but I'm not sure why it won't let me start them. Oh, there we go. So I had to put someone in a room to actually start them, but now I was able to assign Angelica to one of the rooms. Sorry, I think you can still move to a different one. but now you should be able to choose a room once you've decided which mechanism interests you. And also in the bottom right corner, I have the layout of the rest of today's session, which is going to go through choosing game mechanisms, which we're going to do right now as a group to see who wants to join which game. And then in the breakout rooms, you will be choosing a theme, which will be for probably just 5 minutes. Then I'm going to set the breakout rooms to put everybody back in the main room. And we will talk about playtesting. And after playtesting, then we're writing rules so that the other groups are going to be able to play the game. Then we're going to playtest the other group's games. If we're still only going to have say seven people right now, we're probably only going to do 2 groups, 3 and 4. Then basically we'll just switch games, and each group will use the rules that the other group made to try to play test the prototype that they make.
So how do I choose the room I want to be in? Like, where do I go to choose are we going to pick that together now? Like the 4 people are going to go to one mechanism and 3 are going to go to another? Should we just like pick those and with dots or something at this point and then break out into those groups? I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse
actually,
what you just said.
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
just trying to figure out.
Let's start with a dot voting session to see which mechanics are the most popular, and we're going to do 2 rounds of elimination, and after that point, we'll just have 2 groups that people can join. Let's see. So then I started the dot voting session.
How many dots do we each have?
3.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Also, I only see 4 people in the session.
Do we vote in the where it says choose game mechanisms? Is that where we vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see if I can. Oh, I can't highlight it, unfortunately.
Hi, this is Ali. I have trouble accessing the Mural board. It kept asking me to sign in. I couldn't even find a way to join anonymously. So I don't know what's going on.
We had that issue before, Ali. I apologize for that. We're thinking about possibly moving to Miro, but we haven't done that yet. You might have to create a login to get in there, but you'll still be anonymous. It's weird. I don't know what's going on with that. I apologize for that.
Okay.
For some reason, some people haven't been able to join anonymously without creating an account. Let's see. All right, looks like everyone has voted. Who's in the board? But all right, so role playing. Great. So role playing, dexterity, tile placement, and deduction are the 4 that we're looking at right now. So let's do another quick dot vote. And between those four, let's see which ones everyone is the most interested in.
Hi, Eugene.
You may have to scroll up a little bit on the board above choosing game mechanisms because it's above it now, before. I'm sorry, go ahead, Allie. I mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just saying that if you guys don't mind sharing your screen, even though I can't, at least I can see what you guys are voting at. I was wondering. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. I tried logging in with my work email. It just wouldn't let me join at all. So yeah, I'm out of my options now. So I'll just watch you guys. Thank you.
That's really weird. Sorry about that, Allie. We'll get it going next time.
And once people are in breakout sessions, Allie, so if someone can share screens, you should be able to see what your group is working on, and you'll still be able to talk through it, even though you can't write on the mural board. My apologies about that. All right. See, Anonymous Panda still has 2 votes left. All right. Let's see if we have 2 clear winners. All right, role-playing got even more votes, but we still have a 3-way tie for the other options. So we're definitely sticking with role-playing as one of them.
That's funny.
But let's do a vote between dexterity, tile placement, and deduction for the last vote, and hopefully we'll have a clear winner after this.
So how many votes do we have this time? Oh, 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So yes, so now we do have a clear winner. So we are going to have the focus on role-playing and dexterity. So now we can go to those 2 sections on the board. There is an outline. Can everyone see the outline option?
Yeah. Right. I mean, again.
See if I can show. In Bureau, if you look in the top right, there's a question mark, which is help. Then there's a find, and then there's a list, and that list of options is outline. If you click on that, then it shows different sections, which can take you to different parts of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and remove everything from the outline that wasn't voted on. So everything besides role-playing and dexterity. So now you can go over to either role-playing or dexterity. If everyone could just put their name on a sticky note beside the one that they're interested in, then we can have breakout rooms for it. All right, so I say 3 people for dexterity. One more person can join that, but I would like to do 3 and 4 for the 2 types of games. Oh. So far, we only have 1 person for role-playing. Although,
You want to just open up the breakout rooms in Zoom, and then whoever wants to be in that just joins that group?
the rooms in Zoom are open.
Okay, we could just go ahead and do that, and then that'll
All right.
kind of make sure that people who aren't in the mural will be able to.
Yes, that works. So,
And also, just so everybody knows, it's a double click to add a note, just if that's holding you back from adding yourself. And then you just start typing whatever you want in it.
doesn't look like I can close the room after I make it. Actually, I think I might need to close the rooms. Okay, here we go. Right? The rooms are open now.
I'm still not sure. How do we join the group? Like, should we see the groups and select them somewhere in our screen?
They should be, so I opened the rooms in Zoom, so they should be available to join.
How do you get there exactly? Is there a code, or you click on a?
It should just pop up
Okay.
like a modal.
Not seeing anything popping up.
Mm-mm.
And I have both 2 screens.
Do you see an
3
option?
screens going here.
Do you see an option in Zoom that says breakout rooms, or an option that has 4 different squares on it?
4 different squares.
No, I don't see that.
No, I don't
Is
see
anybody else seeing that they can help out? That's online right now.
I might think that in the past, like the facilitator might like put people in
You might have to
them,
put us
I'm
in the
not
room.
sure.
Yeah.
All right, then I can definitely assign you to a room. I think I made it so
Yeah.
that people can join a room that.
You just did. It just got dexterity.
Yep.
I got an invitation.
Okay. So Angelica, do you want to join the dexterity group? There's only one.
Okay, I'll go over there. Can
Sounds
you
good.
reassign me?
I did.
Cool, thanks.
Of course.
Probably we should have worked that out before. Here's Eugene. Look at him. He
Hi.
just popped in. I love it.
Yep.
So we're picking a theme, right, Eugene?
Yes. So right now there is a nice big list of themes, and obviously you can choose your own, but these are at least to get the old brain working. So if you're interested in any of those themes, talk to the rest of your group and think about how you would start designing a system around it.
Hmm.
And I will pop over to the other group.
Cool.
Game.
Hello.
And hey, Eugene.
Yes. So so right now you're and it doesn't have to be one of these. You can think of anything that you think would be appropriate, but a theme that you think will work well with a role-playing game.
Okay.
And is there a particular game we're trying to make? It's about math, right?
The goal of the game is to help the student feel more comfortable in learning geometry.
Geometry.
So, yes. So it can be specifically math skills, or it can be social skills around math.
It has been a while since I did geometry,
Yes.
so it'll be a struggle.
So how old is she?
Middle school.
Middle school. Okay. And another question is are we picking only the theme, or do we do characters or anything else?
If you want to think of characters and things, that is definitely part of it. So basically this part is coming up with a theme and how it supports the mechanisms.
Okay.
And having a general outline that from there you can start thinking about how would this work mechanically, and that'll be the play testing portion where you come up with a rough design of how you think this would look.
Okay. Cool. So what do you think?
Looks like we're down to our top three, Eugene.
That's good.
Yep. All right, so I'm just gonna say something that the one you didn't pick this time, and let's just all shout at the same time on a count of three. Here you go. 3, 2, 1. Pirates. Did you say pirates, Leroy?
I did say pirates.
You guys are hesitating. You're supposed to do it. 3, 2, 1.
Pirates.
Pirates.
All right, let's do pirates. So we're choosing pirates, Eugene.
Great. All right, I will see how the other group is doing.
Yeah.
It's really
Here.
basic.
I'll share this with you.
14.
I was just looking up, I was trying to refresh my mind on geometry. It has
Yeah.
been since like high school.
Yes.
So yeah, we could focus on angles, because angles is something that could look really nice. Well, no, it's role playing, so we can't really do visuals. But there might be a lot of stuff we could play with in angles or things like that. Maybe.
Right. The other group has a theme in mind, so as soon as you guys are ready, we're gonna go back into the main group for a bit.
Okay. Eugene, can you give us some examples of things that we could teach through this game?
So, yeah, so with a role-playing game, you're looking, the mechanism itself doesn't really go for math. So,
because pretty much I'm trying to figure out, like the theme sometimes would follow what we're trying to teach.
yes.
So for example, if we're trying to teach about, I don't know, some math, some particular part of geometry, then that would dictate what theme we can do, because then that would give us the most flexibility.
Well, for example, different kinds of shapes. An example of role-playing with shapes would be parallelograms accept rectangles and squares, but they wouldn't accept a trapezoid.
Another example?
Let me look over at the mechanisms one more time. That'll help. The
Because I don't necessarily
yes.
need like a specific example of how role playing would fit within geometry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to refresh myself of what geometry is.
Right.
So then I know what we could work with.
So I found something that like might help, like as far as like kind of like the radius of the sphere,
Mm-hmm.
or like the volume of a ball, the volume of a triangle, like a more like a pyramid, like things like that.
I could see like the diameter, because that could be a journey. You complete the whole diameter once you go through the whole journey of role playing. So as you go further bit by bit, you complete it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. And also sent another link of videos on the middle school geometry curriculum. So those are different sorts of math concepts that are taught in middle school.
Okay. I think that helps me out, getting a little bit oriented with math again. So yeah, yeah, I agree with you, Sarah. I could see fantasy being a really good one.
Fantasy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can build anything. Really. It's like a makeup world of anything. It's acceptable. So one of the things I also thought about was for some reason that game of Fortnite came to my mind right now, because they are doing random things. They are role playing. They are, you know, going to different worlds. But we're not doing a video game, so we are doing like, is it like a role playing in a video game? That could be a theme, but a theme can be like three things, like a video game with fantasy and role playing, right? Like at the same time, because you're doing, like, video game would be just a platform, like where it's hosted.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to close the rooms for now, and we will talk about the next part, which is putting everything together and playtesting.
Okay. So we have the theme, which is
Yes.
fantasy. Right. Okay.
All right.
Hello, Eugene.
Brad?
Lots of questions, man.
Yep.
I think we just need a brief review of what dexterity is and the mechanisms of like how that would apply to what we're doing tonight.
Sounds good. Let's see. Breakout rooms are closing soon. Yeah, so it seems everyone has agreed on a theme for your group. That's good. All right. So hit me with your questions.
I just gave you mine.
Yes. So dexterity is using using your manual hand-eye coordination to complete an objective of some kind. So in Jenga, you're trying to take out blocks without the whole thing falling apart. In Rhino Hero, you're trying to place cards without everything falling down. So it's usually either about placing something specifically or trying to take something out without everything falling to pieces around the piece that you're holding.
Okay, so I think we got that in our group. I think the thing that came up is if we're playing games present, like at the end of this, when we have a prototype, now could we do something like a maze, like with the cursor being our physical movement? Or something like that with boundaries?
That would definitely be a dexterity game, yes.
All right, cool.
Because you're trying to move your mouse without running into things.
My question would be also, and maybe we're going over this in a minute, but what are we trying to? Are we still focusing on math, or are we focusing on a different? Like, what's the objective of our game going to be?
The objective of the game is to engage Rachel with an aspect of geometry. Now, the aspect of geometry that you focus on is up to you in your game. And any sort of educational game, they're not going to be able to teach all of math. There's usually a specific, not even a specific subject, but a specific group of subjects that a game would focus on. So, for example, the game that I was showing that we were trying out with students was focusing on the differences between different types of shapes. And it was focusing on that specifically.
Okay, got you.
But the next portion of this is putting together the theme and mechanism and then play testing out the result. So come up with a design for a dexterity game using the pirate theme, and come up with a role-playing game using the fantasy theme for a specific area of geometry that you think that theme and mechanism would work well for.
And where does prototype this out in the mural board with
Yes.
sketches?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
So then I will, if there aren't any more general questions, then I can restart the rooms. And then I'll go to both of the rooms to talk about specific questions for each group.
I was like you go to the basics of geometry. And there's actually a cool graph about angles. And I think that could be an interesting way of progressing through like a role playing. Let me see if I can like put the file in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's uploading slowly but surely.
Are you gonna share your screen?
Oh, sorry, I just did a screenshot and I put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. Let me see. In the chat of Zoom or in the chat of Mural?
Oh, I wonder if it went to the main group. Interesting. Okay. Well, probably just share the screen at this point.
Oh, I see it. I see
Do
it.
you see it?
Yeah.
Be able to drag something. So maybe if we just use Post-it notes, different shape Post-it notes, and then draw like something, I don't know, who would want to get into the drawing? Leroy, you want to do the mocking up on the thing? We could help you out. We could put some little Post-it.
You comment on the mural thing?
Yeah, in the mural.
I can try my best.
All right, cool. We'll just put it, yeah, there we go. Somebody's already got some shapes going on. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing the shapes that we can, the mirror
you.
support.
No, that's great. If you want to just, how
Oh.
are we going to figure out? Hello, Krishna?
Yeah. So sorry, I'm not able to see what Ali was presenting. So sorry.
On mirror board, are you still
On a mural? Okay, let me just go back to that.
Yeah, we're in the dexterity swarm there. So
Okay, got it. Okay.
back to back to where we put our names, and I dragged 4 or 5 shapes out of the mirror library and stuff. So
Gotcha. Thanks.
So which part of the mural are you in? Is it where we?
yeah, do you remember where we put on our names? It's on top of the. Yeah, there you go.
I'm still zoomed in at the bottom.
You can also use the outline to jump over to dexterity if you see that.
Oh, sorry.
But once they go to save the princess, like I mean, is it a board game are we talking about, or?
Yeah. So in this one, it's not like a physical board specifically. It could be a map. So in D&D, let me see if I can move over to our section. Oops.
Because to me, like role playing is more like acting, you know, like kind of performing role, like as an actor, like kind of.
Right. It's a yes and. So in D&D in particular, you have like a map that players can move. So let's say, this might take a while. Okay, let's say that this square is the map. And actually, no. Actually, if it's a circle, if we're trying to complete the circle, then it would be this. Okay. This is where the castle is, where that triangle is. and we need to complete the circle to be able to enter the castle again. So what we're doing is we're role playing our way through. So there will be challenges that we have to talk our way through. So like challenge 1. Challenge 2 and so forth until you get right back around.
Right, but like the only part that I think that I mean it makes sense to do challenges and do the castle, but like if you're starting from a castle to go back to a castle, that doesn't make sense to me in that story. Maybe I was thinking more something more like how you like jump from different worlds and they are different shapes, you know, like one world can be a sphere, another world can be a pyramid, and there's the challenges are in those worlds, you know. I mean, it would be like just like in a bigger picture, I would think.
Right.
But we can start with one shape. Maybe the
or we can use the shapes as obstacles, and they would just have to be able to clear out a path for something, a dot maybe to walk through, or a human figure to walk through to get to the final prize. So the shapes will have to be like movable in a certain room and certain rules.
All right. How would that look with what we're doing here? Would we like say, okay, well, you added this hexagon. So if there's a hexagon on the board and you bring in a hexagon, that's going to draw out a path for you. But so how's that going to teach people about the actual shape? Is it going to be, maybe it says hexagon instead of being the shape, and then you have to know what that what the geometric shape is?
Or I mean, are we able to like incorporate like questions with this, where there's checkpoints where you have to like answer a question to get past it or something? If that makes any sense, but I'm sure there's some out there. Or if you wanted to do maybe like a mapping type thing.
I've seen a certain kind of games that, well, not using too many kind of shapes, but only uses squares, and you're able to sort of always leave certain rooms, but it's packed inside a box, and you have to move them. So, for example, in order to make that big rectangle to move, you have to clear out the entire path for it to actually move. I was wondering, maybe we can. I don't know if we can actually prototype it out in a short time frame, but that's something I've seen.
Is that like Gems or Tetris or something? Is that like the game, the Gems game on the phone, or the Tetris, like how that is when you like put boxes in together and it clears the screen?
No, it's actually
challenge. Like what's the end goal could be different for each one. I mean, if it's a pyramid, it could be like starting at the bottom of the pyramid and you reach something at the top of the pyramid, you find like something, or and in a sphere, maybe it's more like deep into the core of the sphere, so each shape has the challenge like in different places where they might make sense, like that you have to explore to dig into it or climb, or things like that.
Okay. So I know we need to create rules for the game on like how they would play.
Yeah. I don't know, are we drawing or do we have to? I just got kind of stuck in this meeting, like the screen in my computer is all full screen, so I can't access my mural.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. All right.
What you can also do for next time is you hit the escape key and it gets you out of the zoomed out or the full screen.
Okay. So I'm just gonna draw like the shapes, like representing different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And then the geometry. Oh, and we have to get like the characters, right? Like in 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking we can pick like characters, like random characters from like a fantasy. Like, I mean, there should be like a selection of avatars, you know, like you could be anybody.
Yeah.
So you can pick one that you really like, and I can pick one that I really like.
Well, how about, do you want to go ahead and get started on creating the roles and I could find the images for the avatars?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
let me do that.
you mentioned like princesses and trolls and knights. There's gonna be those in there.
Make a new game to actually work. I don't know. I mean, we can. The concept was good. It's just it's gonna take time to actually make it work.
Do we have to show him the actual working of it, or just a concept?
Well, we got to get a working concept.
Okay.
I think Eugene's on right now. If you have any questions, he
Okay.
can probably give us some guidance. Eugene, I see you there hiding.
Yep. not hiding, but just seeing how both of the groups are doing. So a working concept. So it doesn't have to, I mean, I'm not expecting you guys to code a full game, you know, in the next 30 minutes. But basically, at least where you can move some pieces around and there's a rule set that can be followed. So the next section, the next thing that we're about to do is the writing rules section, which is also the time where you can make the physical portion of your prototype that can be moved around, that can be interacted with a little bit. Again, it doesn't need to be a full game yet. Right now, it's an early stage prototype.
Yeah. Can we just keep the concept really simple? And so for example, we got a couple of squares on it already. We can just simply saying the rule is trying to move the squares without lifting them or taking them outside of that box and just move them on the surface.
That's great. Yeah, that's a dexterity game, and that's a rule set that's pretty easy to understand. So you guys are getting ready for the next section, and I'm going to go ahead and start closing the room. So 60 seconds. All right. So welcome back, everyone. How the sessions go so far. I already see some concepting going on, which is great. So the next section that we're going to be working on is writing the rules and coming up with a design that can be used by the other group to try out your game. It might be useful to have one of the team members still in the group to explain if needed, but do not try to let the rules that you write speak for the game first, and then when the person trying out the game has questions, then answer those questions for them. But try to let the rules and the game pieces speak for themselves as much as possible. This is harder for a role-playing game because usually you would have scripts, thousands and thousands of scripts for how the game would function. So obviously, if you feel comfortable acting out the character, then that would be one way to help the player interact, but not answering direct questions unless prompted. So if you guys have any questions for me in the general group, let me know. But otherwise, then we'll start the onboarding for the other group to try out the game.
I think for ours, I don't think we came like with a clear, like full on definition of like a prototype. I think we're like in the process. Just if like the other team has like questions, how do we answer them?
Well, basically, as much as you can, write out what the system is like, and then any questions that they have, answer them. But if anything is unclear, then of course, clarify that. But hopefully, in this next section, you can have enough written out that they have a basic understanding of where they can start, and don't feel that you would need to have a whole game. For example, you guys were talking about different worlds, I think, right? So,
Yeah.
So if you have just a couple of interactions for the first world, how you think that, if you could just write out the rules for how that would work, then that would be enough, because it's just the first prototype. You're not trying to create the, unless it's a very simple game, you're not trying to create the entire game. You're trying to get enough to see if this is a concept that would work. Because this is the other part of iteration. You test a simple concept, and then if it doesn't end up working out, then go back to the drawing board and you try something else. So if that's all good, then I will start the breakout rooms again, and we'll meet back in 10 minutes. Sound good?
Yeah.
Right.
Princess. They go to one world and they have to, the challenges, I'm not like completely sure, because since it's role playing, wouldn't it be like acting like, you know, using like, for instance, like a full rotation? Maybe the other person has to guess that, you know, that is the actual angle, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have to like make it with your hands, like kind of doing like an obtuse, you know, like, and doing like some weird sound, like if you're a troll, you know, like, and then the other person has to guess the challenge. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, if we do that, then we maybe would have to delete the types of angles because it's kind of like this is a challenge or a test of those angles. So, so in each of these worlds, one of us could act as that gatekeeper to complete the world. Unless it was something about which angle does this world create? Is that what kind of what you're thinking?
So I'm thinking like if we're in a real.
Hey, James.
Hey, seems that a couple of the members haven't joined yet.
Yeah, it looks like they might have dropped out. Or didn't get the pop-up. Allie had to step out for a
Gotcha.
minute. She's coming back.
Gotcha.
I don't understand how this is going to teach geometric shapes. I'm very kind of confused. So I wrote a big note here. How does this teach the use of different? So, I don't know. I guess Allie's got a better understanding of this than anyone. How's the other group? There's Leroy. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Allie had to step away for a second. She said to review her rules here and see if those were okay with everyone.
Yeah, I think we can, if we have more time to develop this game, we can certainly introduce more shapes. Right now, we're just trying to communicate the concept of the game with squares only. So,
Cool.
Yeah, we can certainly, if we have more time, we can certainly talk about other shapes and stuff, but
And part of the goal of this session is creativity under constraint. So this is a very limited amount of time that we have, and all you really have time for is a rough concept. So it's looking good. It's a good start.
Whatever you think.
Yeah, I think probably the charades version is going to be a lot simpler.
For them to test it. So
yeah.
Should we write instructions?
Well, we would, because we would be the gatekeeper for each world. So the instructions would really be to pass each world, you must complete the challenge of the gatekeeper.
Okay, so I'll just write this down. To pass this world, you must complete the instructions of the gatekeeper, right?
Right.
Okay.
It could also be a riddle. We could also do it that way. So if it was thinking about a pizza, like a full pizza is what type of angle? A full rotation angle.
Yeah.
So that could be the way to pass each world, is having a riddle about what type of angle it would be. So I don't know, it would be a right angle.
So it will be like, guess what type of angle this
like riddle is asking.
Riddle, dance, or I mean, it could be any type of creative movement.
Kind of. So what I'm talking about with the riddle is how the gatekeeper is asking the question. So it isn't just like, what is an obtuse angle? It's saying, on a sunny day at a Carolina beach, what does this object, what is this object's angle? You can sit on me and lay in the sun. And so that's supposed to be an obtuse angle, which is a beach chair.
Right. Okay.
And then the next one could be a straight angle. And that could talk about the horizon and the sun.
Okay. That is a really nice idea. So it says to pass this role, you must, so
Within the box, so obviously, that was that move. And you can do this. Yep, I win.
You won. First
Basically,
try.
that's the concept, but yeah,
How
it's
did
just
you-
that.
How do
Go
you
ahead.
draw a shape? Yeah, how do you draw a shape like you're drawing these squares? Who was doing that?
Oh, there's that shapes and connector thing on the left. So once you drag that, you can just
Oh, okay.
and then
Okay.
so let's just say
Nice.
our yeah. So let me move the pieces back. How did we?
And how many times can you go?
I don't know. I mean,
How many did you do it in? Maybe that should be like the goal.
I lost count. But I
Like
guess the
eight
goal was
moves.
to make fewer moves to get to the treasure, like you said. And yeah,
Like there could be different ways to get to the treasure, and fewer moves would
yeah,
score you higher marks. Yeah.
yeah. So for example, the pirate piece now can move like straight away to all the way to the right. So so I go as far as you can go with one piece, and then maybe that's how you get to the go with fewer
moves, right? Yeah.
fewer moves.
Yeah, that's difficult. I like it. That's a great concept.
I think
Very
I'm
simple.
pricing some other games I've played before.
Yeah. So if you
But-
move the last box, the vertical, the horizontal box, if you move to the left and then
Hello? How goes it?
Hi. I think Sarah froze.
Oh no.
We were doing so good.
Okay. I will let her back in when she rejoins. How's it going?
Okay, good. I don't want a sticky note. Okay, so what we're saying is that after answering each riddle, you move on to the next world
Yes.
to win. Successfully answer all 3 riddles. Because the thought process with our game is each shape is a world. But that's just for the purposes. Actually, we really don't need the different shapes. Because what we're doing is we're testing knowledge of angles.
Right. No, I was listening, and yes, that sounds good. And like the conversations that are happening, so I think it's going well.
Okay, that is all. Carry on. I'm gonna just. Can I type in them?
All right. think Sarah's computer might have died or something.
Oh no. It's
'Cause
okay.
I don't see her
Oh.
mouse anymore.
I'll rep Team Angelica. Not Team Angelica, but team role playing.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to stop the room soon.
Okay. We don't need these circles. We just need those circles.
Good. All right. I will go and get everything ready.
Well, we have 6 minutes left.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. It says 6 minutes on mine.
2.5 minutes.
I will. What? Mm-mm. I'll show you. It says 6 minutes left.
That is a lie. I don't know why it's telling you this because that's not true.
Okay. So 2 minutes left. Got it. I can go back to the main room since I'm done.
Okay. Okay. But yes, 2 minutes. Cool. I will.
Hamid is back.
All right. Hello, everyone. Seems Sarah's having some technical issues, unfortunately. But all right. I was very happy with the conversations that were happening, and it seems the rules are coming together quite well. We are running low on time, however, so I think we should move on to the final section, which is playtesting other games. This is where we run into an issue if Sarah isn't able to return. Because the idea is one person in the group needs to stay in the group to see how the playtest of the other game goes, and then the other member would go and try out the other game. But what we can do instead is try both games. So I guess let's start with the dexterity game. So Angelica, if you could try out their dexterity game. I guess we don't need to go into breakout rooms then. We can just do it from this room. So Angelica, if you could go up to the dexterity game, they can explain it to you and show you the rules. And then we can go to the role-playing game, and you can explain and show them the rules, and one of them can try it out.
Okay, sounds good. Give me 30 seconds.
Yes. I think Angelica's studio might have frozen. Okay. Okay. You're muted.
I'm ready now.
So we'll start with looking over the rules, and then if you have any questions, then
I think we forgot the most important rule, which is to get the pirate piece, which is the human shaped piece, to next to the treasure piece. So so that's the goal of the game, and the rules are written there. You can't really overlap the pieces, and you can only move things inside the box. Can't move the money, but you can move the pirates. And again, pirates can't be overlapped with other pieces either. So, and then just use as less movement as possible to get to the treasure. So that was the game.
So I'm the person icon, and I have to find my way to the money icon.
Yeah.
Okay.
By only moving the blocks.
Yep. Got it. Cool.
Might help if they were different colors too. You can actually change the color of icons.
Now, Allie, did it count as a point when you move the person?
I'm keeping a track of their moves. Yeah.
11?
Yeah, you score 5 points.
Yay.
Yeah. So that's our game. Yay, you won. You won.
Yeah.
We were also talking about since with the time frame that we got today, we were only able to come up with squares, but in the future, if we have more time, we can use different shapes and even make the whole board vertical to say only use gravity to move the pirate piece to actually get down to the bottom of the treasure. So things like that. But today we only have this, so that's the concept. And maybe the dexterity comes within, like you can use both hands to hold pieces to, to make things work. Things like that. Yep, that's it.
That's cool. What geometry concept is this teaching? Is it like shapes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
The shapes can fit together. Yep.
With different shapes, if you have them later, that can definitely teach angles and things. So there's a lot you can do with this basic design.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great start. But besides the how do you win, all of the other rules that are there. So that's a good start. This is a great first prototype. So unless Angelica had any other questions for them or comments, then we can move on to the role-playing game. And one of you, or would it be multiple participants?
Yeah, it's a group activity, so anyone can play, because it's kind of like team building, and that you all kind of have to figure it out. And you can each choose a character if you'd like. So it could be everybody.
So let's move over to the role-playing section of the mural board.
Let me know when you guys are ready.
Is that at the bottom of the screen? Or...
It is. It is in the bottom middle of the screen.
Okay.
Unicorn. I see unicorn. I want to be unicorn.
I'll go with giant eagle.
I'll be the knight.
I'll be the princess.
Okay, cool. I think that's everybody. So, well, do you want me to just leave? Because I have to be the gatekeeper for this game.
Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and play the role of the gatekeeper.
Welcome to the first world. You must answer my riddle in order to proceed. Your first riddle is, when the sun rises and meets a line halfway, I make this angle. What angle do I make?
Can you repeat the question?
When the sun rises and meets a line halfway, I make this angle. What angle do I make?
A semicircle?
An acute angle.
A 45-degree angle.
You're being tested on the types of angles. So degrees do not matter here.
Oh, man.
So acute.
Incorrect.
No.
You get 2 more tries.
Oh, okay. And can any one of them, should any one of them answer? Or should...
Anyone on the team can answer. There is a cheat sheet. Incorrect.
Right. A right angle.
Incorrect.
Oh my gosh. There's probably only one left, right?
The correct answer is a straight angle.
Straight angle.
It creates a horizon.
Right.
A horizon is a straight angle.
Okay.
The sun.
I was partly correct. I was semicircle.
So what happens now? Do we all fall in a lava pit? Is it...
You do fall into the lava, but you're regenerated in the second world, fortunately. You have now made it to the second world. Here is your second riddle. I am the last piece of the pie and the most wanted at a party. What angle do I make?
Now that's acute.
Acute angle.
You're all correct. And you move on. Now you get a glimmering sparkles that surround the party and are transported into the last world. Hello, I am Wizard Joe. You have one more riddle, and then you'll become immortalized and pass all the worlds and get to the next journey. Your riddle is, on a beach day, the weight of humans weigh on me. I help them relax, however. What angle do I make?
Obtuse.
Correct.
Yeah, obtuse.
You win.
Yep. Yay.
Suddenly, you're encapsulated in all of the greatness that the universe has. You turn into stars and are skyrocketed into the next universe. And so starts your next leg of your journey. And that's the end of the game.
I like that. That's
Ooh,
cool.
Bravo.
That's fun.
great gatekeeper.
Thanks. Yep,
Great,
I
that's
yes.
it.
Great, thank you, Angelica. So what questions do you guys have after that game?
I'm just seeing that there were choices to choose from, and I think that was helpful to have a few to choose from.
Oh, I didn't see that either. Unfortunately, all my geometry terminology things, I learned them in Chinese. So yeah, couldn't answer it without that, all those options. But yeah, I just saw them. Great.
Yeah, this game hasn't been made international friendly yet. That'll be the next expansion.
Next iteration.
What does the different rows mean? Like, do we move different paces, or it's just the avatar or something?
Nope, they're just representations. So for the roles, it was just a way to visualize it in your head, kind of like Monopoly pieces per se. It's like, I want to be the shoe, you know.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, one question I had, do you always all win together, or is there like other roles that get held back? Like, how would that work, like in your like prototyping goes forward?
Good question. So I was taking a nod of like D&D groups, and there are ones that can play differently. But in some sessions, you have a larger group of people who are working together to complete a goal. And so that's what this one was based off of. So that's why everybody could contribute to it. And in D&D, you have like special skill sets. So I can see that potentially coming into play afterwards, where like if a particular person answers this type of riddle, you don't have to go through as many, or vice versa. There's a few different ways we could play it, but yeah, I'm thinking like everybody would be on the same team for all of it. It would just be more difficult depending upon what character you chose, where at this one everybody was on a level playing field.
Cool.
Great, thank you, Angelica. So thanks everyone. I think both of the games that you came up with were great. I'm glad the technology didn't pose too much of a challenge. I think it was able to help actually iterate, make the prototypes faster than the physical section was. I'm exporting this mural board as a PNG file, so I will make that available to the group, and I'll make the recording available to the group as well. But this is the first stage of prototyping a game with a specific goal in mind. So I think I'm very happy with what both groups made, and we are definitely out of time. But before we head out, I want to ask if any of you have any questions for me, and I can also make the slides available for you if that is helpful.
Yeah, I think that'd be really helpful to have the slides. Maybe we could just put them in the event or in the group.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was really fun because you could see like how simple it can be like in the very beginning, but the ideas just start accumulating on top of that. Like as you go into different like, you know, fields of prototyping, you could really just build upon like the structure of that initial idea. I love that. It's just so great. Thank you for sharing, Eugene. This is great. I'll leave it for anybody else who has any questions for you.
Yeah, I agree on the slides. It would actually be cool if on slides that you send out to everybody, if you could, like for each mechanism, it'd be cool to talk about like which scenarios each mechanism would be best suited for, or when they're most commonly used for. Because then when we go back and to our own respective jobs and we're trying to think about gamification, we know which scenarios might work best with which.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, and I'll definitely add those. and two, also kind of to mention about the mechanism. So those were 7 specific ones that are pretty common, but there are hundreds of different mechanisms that can be used in making game, and all of them do have specific use cases that they're better for or worse for, just like any sort of technology has things that it's good at and things that it's bad at. So I'll be happy to add that for the ones that are in the presentation.
I had one more question for you, Jane. Now, with your background, can you put something that's moving that looks like you're running and like run in place? Is that possible with the green screen? I would like a street moving. Like
oh,
the
like
next
behind
time
me?
we see you. Yeah, like it's like it's going by and you're like.
Yeah, there's a couple of videos. Yeah, I can be on the beach, or I can be here, or I can be in space.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah. Or I can be in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah.
How about some videos? You got any videos as part of that? Can you like
these are
slap a
the
video?
only videos I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could maybe make a video and make that my background. But
Put yourself in town hall or something, just hanging out while people walk by. Anyway,
So
I hope everybody. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So, are these games more to do with associated with the software, or does it have to be like a board game?
It doesn't have to be. Board games are what I personally know best because I created my own tabletop game company, but I've also made digital games as well. And I mean, frankly, both of the games that were presented today could actually go in either medium. The dexterity game could be physical tiles that you move around a board, and the benefit there is you get the tactile experience of actually moving the shapes, so you get a feel for the shapes, literally. But with a digital game, you could make a lot more levels, and you could have that be a much bigger experience than with the physical game, just because there's only so many pieces you can make for a physical game. So, and for the role-playing game, same thing. You can make a pencil and paper game where it's people sitting around a table and interacting, or you can put it on a tablet. That's really more of a question of what is your team's budget, how wide your reach is going to be, and what is your team good at. So that's basically a question of who do you have that's building the game with you.
And I think on top of that is like, I would think that maybe even having something physical in some instances is better because the digital would actually be a distraction from what you're trying to, for the game to achieve, like with the people, the community or whatever, like that interaction. It might even like, would you agree with that?
Yeah, that could definitely be a possibility. I don't think digital is always automatically a distraction, but if you don't do it well, it definitely can be one.
Is there anything that's digital now about Dungeons and Dragons that you use in that game? Because I remember playing it when it was like first out, and it was all the controversy was going on about it being satanic and all this, and I was like, whatever, it's retarded.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to play that game, but it was all physical. You're writing your character sheet down, you're doing all those different things, and you're reading books, and you're the dungeon master as you are, right? I mean, you lead the dungeon,
so with D&D, it is of course you can't get away from the physical books, and you don't want to, but there is a definite golden age of digital D&D now. There's a bunch of different services for maps for combat, grid maps. I heard Angelica talking about them in the group actually a little bit. And the way that with COVID, I've been actually running more D&D than before, but it's all online. And what we do is we use Google Hangouts, and mostly we just talk, but I do have images. I have a map of the city that the players are in, so sometimes they refer to that. I have a Google Sheets that has all of the different characters that they meet, and that helps my sanity because I've created over 100 characters for that campaign. So if I need to know what the voices or whatever of a character are, then you can just look there and then I remember, okay, that's who this person is. They're a dwarf, they have a Scottish accent, and this is the way that they speak. And I actually use Photoshop to make battle maps. So whenever they're fighting someone, I have a battle map in Photoshop that the characters are on.
So more of a resource, really.
Exactly.
It's not like really part of the game other than just a resource that you go to.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people just do a combat called Theater of the Mind, which is there's no map. I would just say, okay, there's a goblin in the tree 20 feet away from you. There's 3 goblins laughing at you standing on the road, and there's another one readying a bow, and he's about to try to shoot you. So it's just how you decide to run it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I can't wait to see where virtual reality is going to take us, huh, Angelica?
Oh yeah, I can do a whole session just on virtual reality itself, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay, so so with games like Jenga, which is like 6 years and up, how do you come out with the target audience with the understanding of the intelligence level of the people that you're trying to target? How do you know it has to be for a 5-year-old? How do you know it has to be a 6-year-old?
One thing I just want to note is to caution against tying intelligence to age. Experience is definitely tied to age, but not necessarily intelligence. But with the younger age groups, I make games for definitely high school and up. But for the younger age groups, it's really just a question of both what are they physically capable of and what is it reasonable to assume their experience has been. So for a 5-year-old, there are a lot of math concepts or reading concepts or things that they haven't been exposed to. It's not reasonable to assume that they've been exposed to those. But for example, it's reasonable to assume that well, not all, but it's fairly reasonable to assume that a typical 5-year-old is going to be able to keep their balance when they're standing up. So, for example, a game like Hopscotch would test their ability to move and not fall over. So it's this is going to more of the educational side, I guess, but there's something called the zone of proximal development. And that is things that you have not mastered yet. So there's the area of things that you know. There's the area of things that it is unreasonable to assume that you can do yourself. And then there's the zone of proximal development, which is things that you can't do by yourself, but if someone helps you, then you're able to learn them over time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And what was that called again?
It's called the zone of proximal development. Proximal development.
Cool. I like that. All right, guys. So I guess we're going to wrap it up. Eugene, again, thank you so much, man. I hope we can do this again soon. I'm sorry, Sarah, I had some technical difficulties and fell out, but I'm sure she would say the same thing. So thank you everybody for showing up. Angelica, thank you for your game. Ali, I love the ideas you had. Leroy, Krishna, thanks a lot for coming and hanging out. And Hamida, I don't know if you're there because I said something earlier and you didn't respond, so I'm not sure if you're just kind of just watching. Hopefully you get the video of it. The next one coming up, you guys want to show up for is on the 15th, I believe, of May, and it's about inclusion and diversity and how do we address certain issues. It's the guest speaker that is a doctor, professor. She's an awesome person. I kind of hung out with her in Florida for a while. We were good friends, but now she's kind of leading the front of like how can we open real conversations about real things with everybody, not just like certain included people, but all inclusive, which should be fun. So hope to see you guys there. Again, Eugene, thanks, buddy. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks for coming, Everett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Thanks, being part.